The UN Secretary General warns that the Middle East is, quote, on the verge of the abyss. Antonio Guterres has called on Hamas to release its hostages and on Israel to grant rapid and unimpeded access for aid, not as bargaining chips, but because it is the right thing to do. Trucks filled with aid wait just over the Rafah border crossing as the UN Security Council prepares to meet later today to discuss 2 draft resolutions to meet Gaza's increasing needs. Joining us now, Ambassador Bamya, Deputy Permanent Observer of the State of Palestine to the United Nations. Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us. What is your top concern right now?
To stop the bombs. Gaza is collapsing. The health system, the humanitarian system, the only way to save lives is to stop Israel from dropping the bombs, to allow humanitarian access, and to stop the forced transfer of people.
Do you see a diplomatic solution to this after what Hamas did to Israel?
Listen, we had thousands of Palestinians killed over the years, and we saw all countries come to us and say, don't respond with violence, show restraint. We need to find a peaceful path forward. You can't allow for the response to be killing more Palestinians. That's not going to be an answer. That's not going to allow us to move forward. The people in Gaza, there are 2 million people. 3,000 have been killed till now, 1,000 child. Over half of them are women and children. How is that going to be helpful for anyone? Did that ever make Israel more safe to continue killing Palestinians?
What is the diplomatic solution?
Again,
other than stopping bombs, how do you, I mean, it's got to be more than that.
Of course, you need then to end the occupation and allow for 2 states to live side by side in peace and security. The Palestinians cannot be told that they will never be free, that this is their destiny to be displaced, dispossessed, deprived of their rights forever and ever. And we want everybody to live in peace and security. We want to see a reality where no Palestinians are killed and no Israelis are killed. That is the responsible attitude. But we heard a lot of speeches about unconditional support. The only thing that deserves unconditional support is international law, is the protection of civilians. It is peace. These deserve unconditional support. Israel interpreted these messages as a license to do what it's doing now. So now we have a bit more clarity in the rhetoric. We're still waiting for people to say, stop the assault, ceasefire. We're still to wait for some important capitals, including this one, to bring in this message. And then to say, there must be a different path for all of you.
If there's a different path, can that path be forged with Hamas in power?
So I don't think the question is Hamas. And again, I saw the Israeli officials come to you and say, Palestinians are being killed, that's Hamas' fault. You're dropping the bombs. Take responsibility for your actions. If we were killing Israelis, you wouldn't allow us to get away with any pretext for killing them. You are killing entire families, grandchildren, children, parents, grandparents, obliterated from earth. That cannot be justified. You have a peace partner that has been waiting to make peace with you. 17 years of blockade, 55 years of military occupation, 75 years of dispossession and conflict. How long will we find justifications to keep it on? And we came while Palestinians are being killed, and we're saying we're ready to find a way for peace based on international law and UN resolutions.
I want to ask you again, can that be achieved with Hamas in power? Israelis will concede, some, that maybe it can't be achieved with Benjamin Netanyahu and the far right in power. They will say that that's not possible and that needs to change. Does the governing body of Gaza need to change to achieve peace between the 2 places, the 2 peoples?
Listen, the PLO represents the Palestinians and can negotiate on their behalf tomorrow. Show the Palestinians there is a peace deal. Let them have that choice. Give them an alternative.
Will Hamas allow that?
Give them an alternative. Let the Israelis say they're ready to end their occupation. Let them say they're ready to have a Palestinian state. Let them say they're ready to comply with international law. Again, we can find pretexts. I can say, well, the Israelis are doing this, therefore I have nothing to do with it, and that's their problem. No, we have a responsibility towards our peoples. You want to protect your people, I want to protect my people. The way to do it is to have peace. You're not this supremacist thinking. We are equals. We have the right to equal measures of freedom, dignity, and security. I've heard that a lot. Now it's time to implement it. And we've seen Israeli lives are worthy. Everybody understands. Everybody presents their condolences. Everybody comes and shows sympathy and says, now you have the right to do whatever you see fit. And what about Palestinian lives? Who's going to save them? That cannot be a response to just say Palestinian lives are less worthy. You can kill 3,000 Palestinians and get away with murder. That's not, honestly, that's going to destroy not only us, the region, and beyond, because this conflict is a political conflict. It's not a religious conflict, but it has significance for many people around the world, and that will affect coexistence in the region and beyond.
I know you just were listening to my interview with the spokesperson for IDF. I asked him if there was an assurance for the Palestinians who are being asked or told to leave that they'll be able to come back. Did you find his response comforting?
No, I found none of his response comforting, saying this will go on, saying, Palestinians will be killed and that's not our fault, and saying, this relocation order, the UN is saying these are death sentences for many Palestinians, and we're saying it's forced transfer, and he's not able to deny it, that it is actually forced transfer. And we're speaking from experience. Gaza is 70% refugees already, and you're displacing them, and you're bombing in the south. It's not true that the bombings have stopped anywhere. And this is a very small place, and you're telling to people who have nowhere to go, no shelters, hospitals are being targeted, rescue teams are being targeted. You're telling them, leave, to go where? Nowhere is safe in Gaza. Not my words, the words of the Secretary General of the UN.
Let me ask you something else. In my conversations with people in the region, from the region, study the region, one of the things they've told me is that Palestinians grow up thinking of one thing, which is what I'm doing today going to help Palestinians be free tomorrow? Looking ahead to the future, is what happened last Saturday, did that help the Palestinian cause toward freedom?
Of course not. We have a clear line. We reject the killing of civilians in all circumstances. We don't believe in discriminating or double standards. We're working for we believe in the rule of international law. But we need the reciprocity. We need respect for our rights and our human dignity. And honestly, this is terrible, and our responsibility is not to make things more terrible. Our responsibility is to solve the problems that led us here. And honestly, we should be courageous and brave. This is the time to be it. When every 5 minutes a Palestinian is killed, every 15 minutes a Palestinian child is dying now, and we're still unable to say ceasefire, unable to say Gaza. Look at the images that are coming from Gaza. How can you not feel anything? How can you not feel anything towards these people? There were terrible images, and now you have terrible images, and you're going to tell us things are going to be better? The people in Gaza have survived 17 years of siege and 7 assaults, only to die again now. And your interlocutor says, it's also better for Palestinians in Gaza. Who are you talking about? The 3,000 you killed? The people who will survive with this trauma forever? The people who cannot mourn their children? The people who cannot bury their loved ones? These are the ones you are telling now. You imagine the arrogance, the dehumanization of the Palestinians. This is for you guys. We're dropping our bombs for you. Enough is enough. There's a point where this is absurd. They cannot continue occupying us. We cannot continue fighting. It is time for us to be free and for all of us to live in peace. And the US, you have interests around the world. How does it help your interest to appear as in any way accepting what is happening? What is this? It's around the world, in the Arab and Muslim world, in the global south, in public opinions around the world. The US was saying these things about equal measures of freedom, peace, and security, and then is being dragged into this situation. So you need clear words about protection of civilians, international humanitarian law. We finally heard them. It took a few days. And then you need clear actions to live by these words. Words are nothing if you don't act upon them.
Ambassador, we really appreciate you joining us. Ambassador Majid Bamya, thank you for your time and all of your perspectives. We enjoy having you on.
Thank you very much.
Hamas and other Arab countries in the region will say that Israel is trying to move them off their land and not allow them back. Can you say, and this is part of the reason why they're saying to some of the people in the north, don't go anywhere, can you say that if they do leave, that they will be able to come back?
I'm not going to make any commitments at all at this stage. We're in war. We're in ongoing military operations. And the only thing I can say is, if you care about your life, if you want to live, go south to the designated area.
But there needs to be a Palestinian Authority. There needs to be a path to a Palestinian state.